Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Buddy Stream webinar series. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to presenting to you a webinar designed to answer questions about making the switch from QuickBooks to NetSuite. All right, let me do a comparison, and I'll paint a picture for the audience. You're loading your car, heading out to the mountains. You have your sleeping bags, firewood, tents, all your camping gear ready and handy and good to go for the trip. Then when you're packing utensils, you can pack a butter knife, which has more simple functions like buttering foods. But when you're camping, you're going to need more practical tools at hand. Tools that can perform other functions like slicing fruits, breads. Maybe you'll need a screwdriver or pliers handy around the campsite. Now, ideally, a first-time camper is probably not going to invest in a better tool, such as a Swiss knife. They would opt for using tools that they already have handy, but they'll soon realize that buying additional tools is nothing more than a burden, increasing the weight of equipment, and it also begins to add more costs. A seasoned camper would be surprised to see that someone is still using individual tools because the best solution is to have an all-in-one solution, such as a Swiss knife. Now, this tool can do it all: slice foods. You can use it for if you need pliers, scissors, a corkscrew, a can opener, and more. And that's exactly what NetSuite is, an all-in-one solution. My name is Tamara Godey, Marketing Specialist at ERP Buddies, an Oracle NetSuite solution provider headquartered in Toronto, Canada. ERP Buddies is focused on NetSuite implementations for a wide range of industries. NetSuite is the world's leading provider of cloud-based business management software that helps businesses streamline operations and finances while synchronizing departments. NetSuite handles all business aspects and is tailored to meet industry-specific needs, such as accounting operations for an organization, through a fully customizable ERP system that is designed to scale your business as it grows. For many years now, QuickBooks has been the go-to choice for small businesses and startups. However, as your business continues to grow, you might soon realize that adding additional headcount to maintain QuickBooks and other lines of business applications may not be an ideal solution. Today, we'll be focusing on NetSuite versus QuickBooks and why it's time for your organization to make that switch. We will be hearing from Susan Thompson, our Senior Solutions Architect and ERP Buddies expert, who will go into detail about how NetSuite addresses the challenges businesses are facing on QuickBooks. To make our customers feel at ease and to help them understand these differences better, we are gladly offering a 14-day free trial of NetSuite ERP so that you can understand why making the switch is so crucial. For your NetSuite implementation, ERP Buddies will also be offering a 40% discount for a limited time if you're switching from QuickBooks to NetSuite. So without further ado, let's dive in and understand why QuickBooks users look into NetSuite as they experience company scalability that outgrows their QuickBooks environment. Today we have Susan Thompson, a Senior Solution Architect with 14 years of experience working with NetSuite. She has a deep breadth of product knowledge across multiple verticals, which allows Susan the ability to uncover and translate business requirements to all stakeholders in organizations. Welcome, Susan, and thank you for joining us today on this webinar.
Thanks for having me, Tamara.
Yeah, and we're excited to just jump into our topic of NetSuite versus QuickBooks. Susan, can you give us a brief rundown about NetSuite and QuickBooks and your experiences with these platforms? What are some notable observations that you have ran into?
Sure. So I've been in the NetSuite ecosystem for 14 years, working as an implementation consultant, as well as a project manager and a solution architect. So a wide variety of roles that's really allowed me the opportunity to get a very deep breadth of the solution itself and what verticals, utilize NetSuite's capabilities well. A large majority of the customers I've worked with have moved from QuickBooks into NetSuite. And it's a really good transition from there. So it's really where my background lies. And the expertise comes to the table to discuss that transformation of moving from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
That's amazing to know. So my next question is, why do businesses choose to start out with a platform such as QuickBooks? Is it just because QuickBooks tends to be a cheap solution?
Right. Well, typically what happens is, you start a company or a company is young and, it starts off on QuickBooks. It's reasonably priced. It's a much cheaper solution. And they don't need all of the advanced technologies right now. They're happy to use QuickBooks with Excel. But as a company grows and, people are starting to utilize it and demanding data because, how are we going to grow the organization? What do my service levels look like? All kinds of information, which, as you grow, you'll want to know. So once they sort of hit that, point of needing additional data and realizing, at this point, QuickBooks just won't be able to maintain the growth or help grow the company.
Okay, I see. That makes sense as businesses see this as a low risk solution for when they're first starting out. During those initial stages, there are a lot of factors that come into play. So it wouldn't be surprising for business owners to opt for that solution that will just get the job done. So moving on, Susan, can you expand on some of the biggest challenges businesses face when operating on QuickBooks?
Sure, absolutely. And you will get into more detail on the NetSuite side, just how powerful a solution it is. But really, some of the big criteria of moving off of QuickBooks are outlined here in the PowerPoint. So a really big one is multi-subsidiary. So if you're a global organization and you're growing, or even in North America, if you have multiple companies buying and selling to each other, have multi-currency, multi-location handling, NetSuite is designed to do that out of the box. So right now within QuickBooks, it's a much more manual process and certainly not out of the box in the sense the way NetSuite is. Also, there's a lack of supply chain management. So demand planning and order management, NetSuite's extremely strong in. We'll get into some more details actually about the NetSuite module. But certainly QuickBooks wasn't designed to be a full ERP solution. So these are just elements that are lacking in definition there. Inventory management as well. Certainly what we typically see with QuickBooks is companies have had to use third-party integration for warehouse management systems and inventory management systems. So again, NetSuite would handle that out of the box. With QuickBooks, again, as your company grows, there is that, there's a real lack of e-commerce functionality. So certainly with NetSuite's platform, we have much more power and, much more flexibility in how we utilize integrations to e-commerce solutions. And just in general, there's a lack, right? So if I'm not having if I don't have a collaborative solution, if I have multiple systems all over the place and I'm, taking that data and putting it into an Excel file and then sending that Excel file around, there's no collaborative. And that's when, information becomes incorrect. So people are, numbers get changed. So when we come to the boardroom table, we don't necessarily all have the same numbers. So again, once you get to that stage of growth, it really makes sense to make that move into a full ERP collaborative solution. And, just what I talked about there, that hairball sort of formula, that, that's a key point. Like when these things start to happen, it's time to go and start to evaluate NetSuite and take a look at the value of moving on to a bigger ERP that can manage all of your applications.
Wow, that's a lot. And it seems like NetSuite offers much more flexibility and freedom, especially as these companies and businesses are beginning to scale. So when businesses begin outgrowing a platform such as QuickBooks for their operations, how exactly does NetSuite address this and the issues that arise with QuickBooks? Does NetSuite offer specialized modules to target each specific pain point of the company?
Right. So I briefly mentioned it. So I'm just going to dive a little bit more in detail here. So, NetSuite is used by thousands of organizations worldwide. It's a very global financial management solution. It certainly expedites daily financial transactions and accelerates monthly close processes. And, being a cloud single-based platform architecture ensures complete real-time visibility and, no worry about being remote or having users access the solution. With the One World solution, that is the capability to have multiple subsidiaries within NetSuite. And out of the box, you can have them in multi-currencies, rolling up to a common currency for consolidation purposes. It also supports intercompany transactions out of the box, which, with QuickBooks, it's typically more of a manual process, right? There's an Excel probably involved, and it's being managed outside of the system. So NetSuite supports that. It tracks it. There's lots of advantages at period close. It automates that process. So again, less manual intervention required. Certainly compliance across multi-country regulations. We have certain countries require certain tax compliance as well as certain reporting compliance, which with QuickBooks, you'd have to actually create it yourself, right? There's no standardization there available. So certainly with NetSuite, we provide that out of the box to be able to have that. And again, multi-language support as well is very important.
I agree. That is very, very true. It's especially essential for businesses with foreign subsidiaries to be compliant with tax regulations, as we always want to avoid discrepancies while operating in other countries and regions. This functionality of NetSuite One World is so amazing. So just to summarize your points, Susan, NetSuite's One World module addresses these issues through intercompany support and an all-in-one system, compliancy in different regions, and then along with multi-language support. So now on to the next question, and I think possibly one of the most crucial ones for us and our listeners is, what do you think about the current world condition as we are dealing with this pandemic? So many new things have kind of come up into place, like curbside pickup, delivery, work from home, and much other options have popped up. So now, do you think that COVID has amplified these operational issues? And what would you tell our listeners who have been adapting to new regulations that may have come up during COVID-19?
Absolutely. I think COVID amplified a lot in the financial world and with organizations of, how are our people working and what access do people have to data? So we heard really great reviews about NetSuite during the pandemic. It was very easy for a lot of companies to transition quickly to working at home and still being able to access that data and communicate. And then again, also having that central repository for storing documents and information for the company. Again, the process had already been put in place. A lot of people were already utilizing, the cloud-based solution, the platform that NetSuite's on. So that transition was easy for them. I mean, it was, less painful than I would imagine that the QuickBooks users experienced.
Okay, I agree. Can you expand on some of the features that NetSuite has that will help businesses further their operations, no matter where or how they operate from?
Sure, great question. So again, just to sort of set the stage, if you can envision, it's a big circle, and NetSuite has a full collaborative solution. So all of them, it's simply turning on a module or turning off a module. We're not integrating to modules. If you purchase a certain module, then you have access to that. We sell it in suites, again, trying to, provide as many modules that make sense for different types of verticals. But just let's start at finance and accounting. So, part of that finance and accounting expedites daily transactions, as we talked about. But the modules that are contained within that are, let's start with the general ledger. So right now, you have a general ledger. It provides finance professionals the flexibility for richer reporting. We have the ability to do department class location, which really drives, reporting itself and being able to slice and dice that data, which is great. Also, the structure within NetSuite of the chart of accounts allows you to have, less GL account numbers and more dimensions to be able to slice and dice by. As I mentioned before, department, class, location. And you can also have custom segments as well. Accounts receivable, really powerful module. It really shortens the credit to cash cycle, and the value there is really being able to enhance the service levels, right? And seize new opportunities as they arise. So, being able to look at day sales outstanding, having a better, because it's a collaborative database, and we'll get to that. Part of it is CRM. So, as I look at a customer, I have a 360-degree view of it, which really provides me, I can see all communication that's taken place with a customer, regardless, throughout the whole organization, who's communicated with the customer, if there's projects associated with that customer, where are they? Are there any sales orders that aren't billed? Lots of really powerful information and a full dashboard, right? Which we'll get to as well, talking about, but certainly, really shortening and helping manage, again, that one central repository of data. So AP just being the mirror image of AR, really, you have the same capabilities. So from the accounts payable side, you have the 360-degree view of the vendor. So any communication, all of their information that's required within there. So, ensuring we've got compliance by leveraging that solution. And it really automates that whole process from PO all the way through to invoices. So then tax management, again, really nice feature to have. Really, what that does is it just streamlines the global tax compliances, right? Saves time, reduces costs and errors, compliance with filings. And again, it's global, right? So, really easy to set up and manage from that perspective. Some other areas are cash management, payment management, and fixed asset management. Again, just that ability to, manage cash, report on cash, the payment cycles, how much money do we have? How much money do we owe? But really powerful reporting KPIs within there and easy access to that data. And then fixed asset module as well. So that ability, it's not mandatory to use it. If you don't have a lot of fixed assets, you wouldn't need it. But certainly if you do, and managing them is an issue, we can help you automate that whole process with NetSuite's fixed asset module.
So in a nutshell, NetSuite provides complete and full-fledged accounting and finance solutions to these organizations. So it's hard to believe that individuals and business owners would pass up this opportunity of having such a critical data just right at the tips of their fingers.
So I think the next area we were going to go into is the supply chain. Okay, so let's just talk about the supply chain for a minute. So, QuickBooks lacks in the native, supply chain management, inventory management. It's not, built for that, so to speak, where NetSuite really drives a lot of key factors right within here. So it's very comprehensive solution. We have, the ability to track inventory items, non-inventory items, serialized items. GL accounts are attached at the detailed level of the item. So we're automating a lot of the process and we're catching the costs, which is really key. And we're helping automate that. So, as people are entering data, NetSuite is tracking information in the background that, finance is going to want, or someone from procurement is going to want to take a look at. So again, just real-time visibility of all of that inventory is really key. And then drop shipping as well. So, I can do a couple of things within NetSuite. I can bring it in as a special item and I can make changes to it and assemble it. And there's lots of modifications I can make to that product, or I can have it shipped directly from, the manufacturer to the actual customer and automate that process for you. A really strong factor is the demand planning module. So this is the ability to look at product over periods of time. There's things like seasonality you might want to know, when are my peaks and valleys? And then how do I plan around for that demand? So again, really great detail that, organizations are going to need as you're growing and trying to continue to grow.
Okay. As QuickBooks lacks complete supply chain management and inventory management modules, it's obvious that these users will be using a third-party application for these tasks. Not only would that cause just many issues along the way, but it will also drive work efficiencies into the ground. And I, for one, like the fact that NetSuite's SCM module comes equipped with all the functions that Susan just mentioned. This just shows that NetSuite is capable of handling almost anything that is thrown at it. Okay, what are the specifics when it comes to inventory management and the demand planning, and what are the features that are kind of included in that?
The inventory module itself, as I mentioned, is really, that ability to properly track, your inventory, right? So including tracking inventory in multiple locations, safety stock, we can establish reorder points, cycle counts, and distribution requirements for planning purposes. So that is all contained within that inventory management module. And, being able to have that whole process. So again, one thing I'd like to point out on today's webinar, you have to think of NetSuite as a proactive versus a reactive solution. So my goal is, I have my finance people entering data. I have my inventory people entering data. I've got people receiving. I've got people shipping. I've got people doing lots of things throughout the whole organization. So again, that ability to have that, collaborative database and see where everybody is and what's going on. So the proactiveness is, if I have people entering sales orders and I don't have enough inventory, what's going to happen when it gets down to production to either manufacture or it gets down to production to distribute? What's going to happen is they're going to go, uh-oh, we're out of that inventory. Where the proactiveness of NetSuite is going to give you an alert. It's going to say, here are my safety stock numbers. Here is what, I want an automatic purchase order to be generated if I get below this much in my inventory. So again, not to harp on it too much, but you'll see me talk about proactive versus reactive throughout the solution. Because again, I want to set up these alerts. I want to set up these, processes within NetSuite. And then I want NetSuite to do its job and go away and tell me when I need to go and look at things.
It's good to know that NetSuite has seamless third-party integrations that work perfectly in sync with one another. After all, we all want our customers to be on a system that is not only scalable, but also fully customizable. The next topic we're covering is e-commerce, which again is obviously interconnected, and that's another added factor and benefit that will help these businesses.
Yeah, great. And I mean, certainly in 2021, and due to COVID, we've seen a real increase in e-commerce organizations, right? A lot of demand now is being put out there for really strong solutions integrating with e-commerce. So NetSuite has its own e-commerce called NetSuite Commerce, NetSuite Suite Commerce. And it enables you to move the businesses, right? From siloed to, well, not siloed, but, from a traditional ordering process to an online ordering process. Or to the degree of interfacing with, not only does NetSuite have its own Suite Commerce capability, it can integrate to other solutions as well really easily, like Shopify and some other ones. And ERP Buddies ourselves, we actually have integrations. We have lots of customers we've done that with. We have a whole team of experts that deal in the e-commerce side of the business. So really, really strong capabilities there.
I totally agree with that. Because with NetSuite's e-commerce functionalities, business owners can adapt to every and upcoming change that may come along. And then they're able to make tweaks on their online e-commerce store. And not only that, but a fully functional e-commerce store essentially means that your business is running 24/7. I would assume it feels good to know that your business is taking orders even when you're sleeping or just having a good day laying on a beach. And for our next feature, we have the professional service automation, which I'm not familiar with. So can you expand on that and kind of what this process means?
Sure. So PSA, professional services automation, is really project management. So that ability, and this is extremely a big differentiator between QuickBooks and NetSuite as well. So, whether I have projects, I'm a service-based company and I have projects and I have resources and they enter time and I bill based on that, or whether I have internal projects, or, I need to manage a project, even though, internally in order to get, the product out the door, it's really incredibly strong. So I can attach project codes at the transaction level. So I can tie projects to customers, to vendors, to sales order lines. And what does that mean? It means that now I can have a P&L by project. I can look at, I can have templated templates of projects. So that ability to quickly create a project and have the different tasks associated with it. So I might have one type of project that maybe is a telecom project. And then I might have another type of customer that would use projects because they're a software company and, they have billable hours, right? And resources. So they would track, they would utilize, the different tasks and the different types of projects. But then, the resources, there's resource management within there that allows you to quickly assign resources. They can enter their time. So we're having a full view of costs. And again, you're looking at the profitability of a project. So really powerful feature, if you need the requirement to utilize PSA.
So the build to bill cycle is surely an important part of the professional service business. Moving on, what would you like to say about the reporting functionalities of NetSuite? Does NetSuite offer any such modules? And what would be some of the key factors of this reporting module?
Sure. Yeah, so I think it's easier for me to start with NetSuite itself, because that'll kind of, you'll understand better why I feel that, NetSuite just has a much better robust reporting solution. So NetSuite has 3 types of reporting. It has a full analytics solution as well, but I'm just going to talk about the 3 standards reporting within each suite. And that is, we have something called, our financial reporting. So over 800 standard reports out of the box, but each of them have their own filters, and you can do a save as, and you can create your own reports. Those reports can be scheduled, they can be emailed, they can, they can be spread out, they can be attached within a drive, lots of flexibility of how you manage that. So out of the box, once we get your data in and you're utilizing NetSuite, we're going to be able to have a P&L or a balance sheet out of there right away, because it's all in one solution. The second type of reporting as well is the ability to do safe searches. Think of it more as the ability to create lists, right? And criteria, and how I'm going to sort that data, and, what does it look like? So really powerful safe search capabilities within there as well. And then we have our dashboards, and both those types of reporting I mentioned previously, you can actually create those on your dashboard. So they can be, a portlet on your dashboard as well. But the dashboards certainly offer real-time KPIs, as well as, all kinds of metrics that are out of the box, but you can create things as well. So it's completely user-friendly from that perspective. You can customize your dashboard, really set the KPIs that are important to you, that are meaningful to your industry, from that perspective. So really powerful capabilities in comparison to QuickBooks, which is, typically I hear a lot of people are moving back to Excel when they're utilizing QuickBooks.
So how much better is NetSuite's CRM functionality? And if a business is already using a third-party CRM application, such as Salesforce, can they integrate it with NetSuite?
Sure. Yeah. So, and again, if you think back, we've kind of gone through like all of the elements that are included in NetSuite, right? So we're looking at, the finance, we looked at supply chain, we looked at demand planning, we looked at, we talked about, the project management module, we've talked about inventory management. So, what one last piece, which is really great to talk about, is the customer relationship management. So it comes as part of the suite. Think of it as like a Salesforce. If you're utilizing Salesforce, we totally, ERPs, Buddies will integrate with you and you can continue using it. But it is part of the suite. It comes with it and it's extremely powerful. So again, it's that ability to manage, a customer record and a vendor record and having everyone in the organization be able to manage it and look at it from that perspective. But also it has great lead management. Again, it's that proactive versus reactive. So if I'm a sales manager and I want to see how my sales team is doing, then I'm going to be able to go in and on my dashboard and proactively NetSuite's going to be producing those numbers for me. So I'm going to see how many new leads today. Did Susan follow up on, how many tasks has she completed today, etc. So it's part that as well as opportunity creation. And then, from creating that opportunity, I can take that right into an estimate. Then I can take that right into a sales order and etc. It has full email campaign capabilities and marketing functions, as well as customer support, which is really key. So, again, I can do case management and I can filter that and I can have dashboards relating to that. So again, if you're a service company, those would be key things you'd be looking at. What does my customer support look like?
Okay, yeah, I think those are all great features because when it comes to having a CRM system, your customer is crucial. So it needs to be very well-rounded and collaborative.
Just a last point there, which I think is really key, is ERP Buddy uses NetSuite ourselves. So like we manage all of our sales reps utilize it for their lead management. The sales directors utilize it to manage the sales teams. So our marketing people, we know the know, right? We actually utilize the product at that capacity.
Yeah, especially when it comes to human capital management and HR functions, that would be another
right
feature that we can actually talk about.
Exactly. So certainly we interface to ADP and other payroll providers, but we do have a NetSuite solution for human capital management. So Sweet People, it is only available in North America currently. But again, it's that collaborative database, having everything in one central repository. So, you've got all your new hires, you've got all your employee information, performance management can be utilized from there. Really comprehensive solution. And, the thing to keep in mind here as well, Tamara, which is a really important thing, is you can start off small with NetSuite solution as well, smaller, right? Like if I don't need if I don't need human capital today, I can buy it tomorrow. So, that's a big thing, right? We're not forcing you to purchase everything at one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an awesome point to point out. You don't have to have all these functionalities that you don't need. You can customize it, which is exactly what we're managing a payroll, employee onboarding, performance management, etc., is a daunting and time-consuming task. So I'm glad that NetSuite does cover that side as well. I would surely like to see Sweet People be available for the rest of the world, but until then, only my North American friends and listeners can implement it. So you know what to do. You can give us a call and take advantage of Sweet People today. I think those are all the features, right? So let's look at an overview of QuickBooks versus NetSuite features. Look at your screen and feel free to message us any questions that you may have. Link to submit your questions will be found in the description below. Wow, is there anything that NetSuite can't do? So Susan, in your opinion, what are the main pros and cons for NetSuite versus QuickBooks? What are the most essential pointers that our listeners must be aware of?
Right. So, I mean, I think I've, repeated myself so much through the talk today. Really, the key thing, right, is a unified system. I mean, that's the hugest differentiator between the two solutions. It's a global solution. It's certainly scalable. As your organization grows, NetSuite's going to be able to scale with you. We have users, 5-user companies to up to like 500 and more. So lots of scalability there. Certainly the IT infrastructure we talked about, just in COVID itself, like how powerful that is to have, a cloud-based solution. And I don't have IT worrying about, what desktop version do you have and all of that. So in the end, the ROI, actually, the expenditure is a lot of value add on that, right? On the less infrastructure. It just improves work efficiency. We talked about the collaboration being proactive versus reactive. That's another really key differentiator NetSuite brings to the table. And the reduction in duplication. And again, that's because it's a unified system. So yes, those are really, strong reasonings to the pros and cons between the two solutions.
And finally, as we reach the end of today's webinar, I want to ask Susan, why may businesses fear moving on from QuickBooks to NetSuite? What may cause some hesitation even after knowing that NetSuite is at least 10 times better than QuickBooks?
Yeah, great question. If they didn't have fear in the beginning, I would be worried. I mean, it's a big decision. It's certainly a commitment on both parties, right? As a partner, ERP Buddies, we are committed to take a customer live, to have a great reference come out of that and give, superior customer support. Part of our job too is to help you and hold your hand through that process, right? And make sure it's the right decision for you. So, sometimes the fear is the cost. Well, QuickBooks is free. I'm going to have to pay a cost. But look at the other side. What's the cost of not making the move, right? Of not being able to grow the company and not get the information, and instead had to increase the employee count to handle the manual processes. The second thing I think in the fear-based, question is time. How long does it take? What does it look like? When can I go live? Really critical. And I know we're going to talk at the end. We have a great ERP Buddies has a great solution, as a starter, 100 days go live. We'll talk about that later. And value. So again, that decision, what's the value of, there's a cost implication, there's a time implication. What's the value I get out of that? So I think if you can answer those questions and what we've covered today, in what the requirements are and what the solution offers, the value will be apparent, right? You'll have users telling you, please, we need to get the system. And then the final thing I always hear is the historical data. Will we be able to keep our historical data? What does that look like? And yes, absolutely. I totally understand that question. Historical data is key. We have lots of different ways to bring it in. QuickBooks, especially, we have an interface, ERP Buddies. We've done it, tons and tons of times, brought in that historical data. And that's an exercise we at ERP Buddies walks through with you. So again, it's a hand-holding process, and certainly, at any time can be discussed as part of the scoping solution. But those would be, the key things, I think. But when you evaluate those, it makes sense when you're, that it's time to move. So NetSuite Suite Success Starter Edition is a total solution designed exactly for this, right? Smaller companies who are growing and want to move into a new ERP solution, being NetSuite. So it's taking a rapidly growing company and managing all the aspects and getting that system in. So the most common industry functionalities. So what we've done is we've got this pre-configured key performance indicators, pre-configured workflows, reminders, dashboards, reports, lots of stuff that we know out of the box, right? That you're going to need, that we typically set up all the time for customers. And we're going to provide you with that. You can also change it later on as you go through, but this is really that drive to go live within 100 days. So from there, it's just a great solution. If you're, for within 100 days, you're going live, there's already, pre-configured solution there for you. So the learning curve isn't as great either, because a lot of stuff is predefined, but there is still some flexibility in making changes within that. So, yeah, I mean, I think either, anyone moving from QuickBooks, certainly, depending on the size of the company, but that's what at ERP Buddies, part of our value, is that, for example, if you're going to go through an evaluation, I will sit with you and I will go through the requirements gathering. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's really, part of that whole process, right, of understanding what you need and then providing that.
Okay. You mentioned some of the Suite Success features. Are there any other ones that you can just briefly mention so that our viewers kind of have an idea?
Sure. So again, two great things are the pre-built industry reports. That's really key, being able to get that out of the box, and pre-configured users and roles. So there's no time spent on that. And the real-time view of the business in all departments. I mean, those are just really key things that Suite Success brings to the table really quickly and out of the box.
Okay, awesome. And then some of the benefits of starting out with the Suite Success Starter Edition.
Yeah, so what we can do is, we're getting you into an implementation in an affordable, from going from QuickBooks into NetSuite ERP. We're providing that path, right? An easier adjustment, recognizing it's a starter edition. So again, you're getting rid of those manual processes, you're getting real-time visibility, the lower IT and maintenance costs, and then the affordability of it. So it's really, it's a great little starter, right? But again, it's part of that process to evaluate.
Okay, awesome. I love to hear it. And with that affordable lower IT maintenance costs and a more affordable system, I'm sure businesses love to hear it as well. So for those wondering why you should choose ERP Buddies as your NetSuite solution provider, our team is full of dynamic and motivated consultants and developers with skilled resources, and our experiences in these different industries and locations in different countries does make our team stand out among other providers. Susan, can you go over the next steps that our customers would be following should they contact ERP Buddies?
Sure. So as we've talked about the different modules and, the solution itself and the value around that. So if you are interested in evaluating NetSuite and taking a look at it, which I would recommend you do, if you feel like, through this webinar today, you were able to draw parallels to your organization, what we do, a solution consultant like myself, solution architect would get on a requirements call with you. We would go through a process for about an hour, understanding your business, what your pain points are, and then, reviewing the standard operating procedures you're doing today. So I'd want to understand, what reporting are you doing in Excel? What are you doing in QuickBooks? We'll go through your paying requirements. Typically, we've already heard a lot of them already. So that's always a good conversation. And then what we do from that, the reason we have that deep dive discovery call is so that when we understand what the process is, we can go away and configure the demonstration to match your requirements. So walking you through a day in the life of your organization and making sure that we're actually demonstrating the value of that process now being automated within NetSuite. So it's sort of a full circle, giving you comfort in our capabilities of what NetSuite can do and that we can meet your requirements.
Awesome. All right. So I hope you choose the Swiss knife for your solution rather than a butter knife. As you can see, the Swiss knife, in this case, that would be NetSuite, is a solution that can provide multiple tools all in one platform. We will provide links to our websites, social media accounts, and timestamps in the description below so that you can skip to any topic you'd like throughout this webinar. We also have a blog on this topic, so make sure you head on over to our website and check out our blog on NetSuite versus QuickBooks. You can also visit our YouTube channel for more webinars, podcasts, and more. And also don't forget to check out the links in the description bar below for more information and how to apply for a free demo and 14-day trial. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and thank you to our speaker, Susan, for taking the time out of her busy schedule to speak with us today. We will be sharing future webinar details through our social media, so be sure to stay connected, and we hope to see you at our next webinar.